start the same way we did last time. You're Holden eligible. You learned anything more?
I don't know any more than I did last week.
You expect to find that out?
It's out of my control. I guess we'll find out when they tell us.
Is there, can you say without the whole privacy thing what the deal is?
No.
How about this? If something doesn't happen and he can't play right away, could he play in the second semester? Or is it one of those things where if there's a no at the end of whatever question's being asked, he can't play this entire year?
He wouldn't be able to play at all. He would, we'd redshirt him.
Wouldn't be able to, or you wouldn't play him? You'd rather make sure.
I don't know what I can tell you, Dave. I don't want to screw him up or mess up. I'd just as soon stay out of legal downtown. If that's okay with you.
Redshirt, what would he have, 2 to play 2?
Yeah, you'd have to. Mm-hmm.
What about your guys a week into it? What have you seen so far from your team?
I think our perimeter guys have been pretty good. Our inside guys obviously have a lot to learn. With Kevin Noreen being the only one who has any experience, but they've been coachable. They listen. They're trying. We're going to get there. It's just it's hard when you don't have the background to do the things that we want to get done. It's just big guys are used to just standing under the basket in high school. I mean, that's pretty much universal. And when you're asking them to do other things, it takes a little bit of time.
Coach, you mentioned, Noreen pretty much is the only guy on the front court with, experience of what you're trying to do and what you want to get accomplished. How has he handled that, and what kind of things are you asking him to do this year? Is it any different than what he's had to do his first couple of seasons?
I think the best way to answer it is I think he is a lot more confident offensively. He's really spent a lot of time shooting the ball, and I think he's changed his mechanics a little bit, and in that he didn't get the ball up before. He's getting the ball up a lot better now, and I think just confidence too. It was always like, should I shoot it or shouldn't I shoot it? And I think he's not hesitating now. When he's got good looks, he shoots it.
He was always more of a screener, passer. But you want him to shoot more than this
I
year?
want him to shoot when he's open. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that we're all enthralled about him trying to create shots,
Right.
but he's going to get shots. He's going to get shots because he does do a good job of screening, and people haven't guarded him. I think it's fair to say this. Maurice was in on Sunday, I think it was, and told me afterwards that he really enjoyed practice just because of the guys' attitudes. They were very upbeat, and that was the third day in a row, and then we started at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is, I know it'd be impossible for you to do, Justin, but I mean...
I could do 10.
But, I mean, he loved our guys' attitudes and their enthusiasm.
So you're not having to coach effort so far?
Well, you always do a little bit because we demand a little bit more than what they're used to giving, but they're willing. I think that's the most important thing.
Tougher offensively or defensively for the new guys to catch
Well, generally, the defense is a little bit ahead of the offense because we, so much is just learning how to play basketball on offense. But I think in the last 3 or 4 days, I think the offense has gotten better. I mean, we're not very good defensively yet, but we're going to get there, I think. I mean, they're trying, and I think they're not a bunch of real skinny freshmen that are going to get knocked around. They're big kids for being 19 years old.
Brown, Gary, and Juwan, how much do their numbers have to improve from last year to this year?
Well, Gary admittedly had a bad year. I mean, and he's playing much better. Playing with so much more enthusiasm. He's putting more time in the gym. He's shooting the ball a lot better. I mean, a lot better. Jawan's been really good. I mean, he's been good from a leadership standpoint. He's been good from standpoint of knowing what we want done. And he's been so much better offensively. He's not hesitating when he's open to jump up and make shots. He's doing a better job, I think, of getting it at the rim and finishing. I think both of them are dramatically improved.
Is this kind of the first instance or season maybe where Gary's been asked to? I mean, I guess I don't know how much he's been asked in his past teams he's played for. How many, to be a shooter, to be a scorer? Is this something different for him at all?
He's going to play a lot of point guard. I mean, he's going to play off the ball too, but he's going to play a lot of point guard. I think his struggles really were at point guard. He was kind of our backup point guard his freshman year and played way better doing that than he did when we took him off the ball last year. I don't know. I mean, I just think for whatever reason, his enthusiasm, he's got that fire back, which he's got to play with. I mean, he's got to play with great enthusiasm and great intensity for him to be a good player.
Talked about Juwan and kind of a leadership kind of thing. Middle of last season to late last season, it was an issue with him not doing what he wanted done. Do the two go hand in hand? Is he doing that as well?
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, I think, from the time the season was over a year ago, I think he and Gary both, and I think they admittedly would tell you they didn't have very good years. I think that's the difference between him and some other guys. Instead of looking for somebody to blame, they kind of looked at themselves and said, I've got to do a better job, and they have. They both were around, came in, asked questions, what do I need to do? How do I help the team win?
One of your biggest concerns, how your guys do on the defensive glass, is that what you're concerned about with these guys?
Well, it's hard to win when you give up too many shots. And we don't have a guy who changes shots around the rim. But we really haven't had one. But I think when you have a guy that changes shots around the rim, it's harder to score on second chance opportunities than it is when you don't have. And we've done, for the most part, a pretty good job of not giving up second shots. It's just, John, it's a whole lot to learn. I mean, it really is. It's, we can say, we try to simplify things or we try to do this, but the reality is we do one simple thing that really I could teach all of you to do. But the hard part is you do it from one simple thing to the next, to the next, to the next in a very rapid succession, and that's what makes it hard. We don't, I mean, we don't stop for, defensive substitutions or offensive substitutions. You're changing from offense to defense, and you have to know what you're doing in transition at both ends, and it happens in a very rapid succession. So it makes it becomes a very compound thing as much as you try for it not to. And I think you get to the point where you have to break things down. I mean, it's the same thing. I think all of us who had any education classes, the first thing they teach is whole part whole. And so you try to show them this is what we want to do, and then you try to break that down into the pieces. But the hard part then is putting it back together, back to the whole, and not lose what you've taught in the parts. And that's and then it's a lot of us neuromuscular integration. I mean, big guys are used to running to the rim. Instead of running to the ball, they run to the rim. At this level, you have to run to the ball. You can't run at the rim. Guys make shots, and you have to break some bad habits and try to create different habits.
The new guy, I'm assuming you guys have got probably like 4 or 5 practices in. That's not a lot, but Remy, Nate, Brandon, Devin, any kind of transition that they're making, any steps that they've taken?
I think Nate's probably made bigger strides than the rest of them at this point. He's really shot the ball well. He's really shot, and I think when the ball goes in as much as it's gone in for him, you probably don't look at the other things quite as hard as, but he's got a good understanding. He really understands, I think, how to play, which is a plus. He's done a great job. I mean, in terms of getting stronger, he's got a long way to go. But I mean, you look at him, he's going to be a big guy. It's not going to be this year, but he's going to end up being a big, strong, physical guy who can step out and make shots. The other guys are kind of, they're thinking a lot. You can't play this game and think. It's got to be reaction, and they're not to the point where they're reacting. They're not shooting the ball as well as they're capable of shooting the ball because of there's so much going on in their head right now.
Remy, too.
Yeah, Remy big time. Yeah, and he can shoot it, and he will shoot it. We've got to get him where he doesn't think so much.
You go through it every year, but maybe not quite as much as you have this year, especially with important people. The idea that some of your guys have been here a while and know what they're doing, other guys don't. How do you move? I don't know. When one moves faster than the other, you know what I'm saying? How do you bring it together?
Well, I think obviously the perimeter guys are way ahead of the inside guys. But even that being said, our perimeter guys are not really all that experienced. We've really got 5 perimeter guys, and 2 of those are sophomores, and the other ones are juniors. So.
They have to wait for the other guys to catch up with them, or?
No, because they understand, I think, the whole a little better, but we're still trying to, make sure that they understand the parts, and those guys really need. It's just, Bob, in all honesty, I wonder sometimes. When I came back, everybody said we need to play a better non-conference schedule. The reason our attendance is down in December is we don't play a great non-conference schedule. Well, the flip side of that is by not playing a great non-conference schedule, you don't have to be as prepared. You're probably going to win anyway, or have a great chance to win anyway. And I think sometimes particularly when you have a bunch of young guys, if you're trying to win early, which we have to do, obviously, for for postseason considerations and seeding and all those things, you maybe go too fast to try to get everything in and everything done. You know, there may be some merit to not playing as many hard games early as what we're playing.
Can Terry and Aaron be leaders on this team, or is that
They're
too
trying.
much?
No, they're trying. But you know, Justin, the best leaders are guys who lead by example. You know, and Deshaun, you know, when I first talked to Deshaun about leading, he's like, no, Coach, I'm not. But he kind of transformed into that. But he always led by example. You know, he was always the first one in, last one to leave, and he worked hard. And so the guys are looking at him like, well, if he's doing it, then we ought to all be doing it. I mean, that's what we didn't have. I mean, we just didn't have a year ago the guy that people could look at and say, the year before, even with KJ, you know, it's like, look at KJ. He's the best player by a landslide. He's the best player in the conference. Look how hard he works. And look at the time he puts in. And I think we're back to having that with Terry and Aaron, and really, I mean, Wani. Gary's been good.
Bobby mentioned Jamal was shooting better. That's not been a forte of his. You're always one of those guys who doesn't want people proving what they can do. How do you manage that? Do you want him working on a three-point shot, or is he just a guy who's foul line-ish?
Yeah, I mean, really in 5-on-5 situations, I don't think he shot a lot of threes. He shot some, but you know, we went in the Coliseum over the weekend because we had a lot of guys who had never been in there, and did a lot of shooting drills, and he shot the ball really well.
Last week he said didn't have inside guys, 5 out, stuff like that. Could you see eventually, based on what you know from Brandon or Devin at this point, maybe running some stuff through them down low?
Probably more Devin and Brandon. I don't know if it's a terrible thing, though, Mike. I mean, in all honesty, who did we have? We went to the Final Four. Who did we have? Really nobody. I mean, we threw Dennis in there a little bit, but all he did was throw that grenade. It wasn't really he wasn't a power guy, you know. We didn't post Wellington at all. We didn't post Devin, obviously. Post Day a little bit, but that was more when it was a mismatch.
I guess I'm getting at is Devin's, or Brandon, not Devin, sorry. He's probably a little bit less like the guys you mentioned before. He did play a lot of basketball, right?
Devin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But he was also bigger and stronger than everybody played against too.
You mentioned going over into the Coliseum to get some familiarity with it. Do you think, I know there's a lot of benefits of having a practice facility, but do you think that it hurts generally on all teams? They're shooting at home a little bit if they don't shoot more with the depth perception in the gym that they're going to play in?
No, I really don't. Louisville won a national championship, and they never practiced in the Yum Center. They go in day of the game. Well, they guard. Yeah, they guard, but I mean, they won a national championship. If you look, Marquette never practices in the Bradley Center. There's a lot of teams that have had great success. Georgetown didn't practice, obviously. I mean, if that's the case, we should never play a road game. If we're worried about depth perception, then we should schedule them all at home. And it's
Used to be part of the home field advantage, but
I don't.
they're not in there a hell of a lot more than the other team. I don't know if that is then anymore.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, we were really good at home when we were putting 14,000 people in there. I mean, we beat a very, very good Ohio State team. We beat a lot of very, very good teams in there, but we had people in the stands. You know, I think that's more that and just I think routine. I think you play better at home a lot of times just because of routine. You know, it's the same routine. It's not, when you go on the road, it's just a different routine. And then, you know, obviously when you got 14, 15,000 people cheering for you, it's an emotional deal. But I don't think, honestly, I don't think that there's any difference at all. Villanova really doesn't practice, and there's so many teams that have historically been the better teams in the country, and they don't have a home court per se. So I think that's. I think what you really try to do is do that. I know the Bulls used to tell everybody what a terrible shooting place that the new arena was, but I think they did it just to get in people's heads.
Anything else? Based on what you've seen so far, do you think you have the personnel to play the way you want to play, or the way people are accustomed to seeing your teams play?
I don't, John. It's hard right now with so many new guys inside, you know, and you know people can say, you know, we had turnover or whatever. The guys that left were perimeter guys anyways. I mean, we didn't lose any inside guys, you know, per se. So Eric Murray, but you know, I mean, we didn't. I think if you look at when we're really good, it's after guys have been here a little bit where they understand. Because again, it's twice as hard when you have to break bad habits to make good habits. You know, and you know, you run to the basket when you're a big and you run to the basket, your guy's going to get a heck of a good shot. But in high school, that's the right thing to do. But it's not the right thing to do here. And that's one example, I think, of guys that have just had those habits their whole lives. And now all of a sudden we're trying to break that habit. It's not as hard for perimeter guys as it is for bigs.